Led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers found out Wednesday night that Steph Curry, at age 38, can still turn a game around and send teams home in frustration. A 13-point lead for the Clippers midway through the fourth quarter disappeared when Curry went to work. Curry scored 11 of his game-high 35 points in the final 9 minutes to lead Golden State to a 126-121 win at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers' season is over. They had to win last night to advance in the play-in round. Kawhi Leonard had 21 points, but he did not score in the fourth quarter until 16 seconds was left in the game. After the Clippers' painful 6-21 start, they finished the season 36-19. They had the third best record in the Western Conference after Christmas. Clippers coach Ty Lue and his staff deserve a ton of credit for keeping the team focused and avoiding what could have been a horrible season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr., welcome forward to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580. If you're traveling on the 405, the 101, the 10, the 5, the 110, or the 118, put your seatbelt on. This Thursday, you are joining me for our conversation on the J Lunch Club with Atiba, former Deputy Executive Director for the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. He's a strategic alliance consultant and president of Party Politics US, meaning he covers the scope of issues that confront our community at the state legislative level all across our country. He has been a political contributor on BNC News, Heat in the Know with Mo, The Leslie Marshall Show, iHeartRadio and Government Exec, 96.3 WHUR, and One America News Network. Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and our conversation.
Jesse, it's great to be with you. I'm sitting here in a hotel room in Denver, Colorado, and you mentioned the National Black Caucus of State Legislators. I believe you may remember last week I was at the National Hispanic Caucus of State Legislators spring meeting, and for the next couple of days I'll be here with the National Black Caucus of State Legislators and members from around the country for their spring meeting.
Atiba, I appreciate you sharing that with us. Atiba, please share with us what the agenda, in light of the current era, is, and what are Black state legislators at their conference talking about? What are they whispering about? What's going on? What's on their minds?
Well, I just arrived here, and I'll be able to tell you a little bit more about what they talked about next week. But I can tell you that the issues that I believe that are going to be here at the forefront are going to be around anything from telecommunications and how people get access to information to healthcare. But when you bring legislators in from around the country who are faced with different issues, often we're finding that the challenges that many of them are facing, for instance, in states in the South, Tennessee, Mississippi, Georgia, Alabama, North Carolina, South Carolina, are a little bit different, but not just because of the policy issues that they are addressing, but because of the dynamics of the relationships in regard to their colleagues that they are addressing.
I was reading a report by Black Voters Matter. We've talked about it on this segment in the past, where the Calais decision which is likely to be decided, according to Barbara Arnwine from the Transformative Justice Coalition, our regular contributor, says that as many as 190 African-American state legislators could lose their positions when the Calais decision strikes down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. It's almost impossible for me to imagine that the numbers of the NBCSL could, in fact, be reduced as a result of the Supreme Court's decision whenever they make that judgment. I was reading an article this morning by Clarence Thomas, or written about Thomas, who said that progressivism is the greatest threat to the Constitution. And it certainly gives me the sense, Atiba, that in the not too distant future, we're going to hear some decisions from Clarence Thomas that represents regressivism. I think this Negro likes slavery, man.
I think that he and some of his colleagues, if they had a choice, they would take us there. I read maybe the same piece that you read, that he was at the University of Texas in Austin, and addressed a question from one of the young peoples. And I don't think he does enough, and he won't, because it's not in his DNA, to accept responsibility or some sense of responsibility in terms of where in the direction that the country is going with this so-called idea of conservatism, and this idea that my way or no way.
I am our producer just sent me a little note from Django. we sick. How we feeling?
Well,
we sick today.
and that's indicative of the country as a whole too, Jesse. I think, whether or not it's Justice Thomas, you mentioned the Calais decision that we're waiting for. I just want to take just a step back real quick and go back to 1992 when then Governor Bill Clinton was running for office. We saw at that time the National Black Caucus of State Legislators, in terms of state legislators, almost double in members. And that happened in large part because the Democratic Party did a really good job with following the leadership, I believe, of then Governor Bill Clinton, who became the president, in terms of investing in those races. And right now there are close to 800 African-American state legislators in the country. And they are doing and providing the voice for their constituents. And they're doing it in a very trying time. But we are in a midterm election cycle, which gives us an opportunity to see and take the temperature of the country. And when we're seeing races like what we've seen happen in Wisconsin, and when we've seen happen in places like Mississippi and Georgia, the Republican conservative base is shrinking, maybe not as fast as we want to, but they're definitely losing races that they thought or think that they may be able to have, because the president did so well in those races in 2024. So I just keep saying, I don't want to talk about fear. I want to talk about hope. I want to talk about and give people something to really strive for, and remember that this midterm election is so important for us to recognize that this is our opportunity to vote in numbers too large to manipulate the outcome. And so our churches and community centers and what have you have to come together and figure out ways that we're going to do this together.
I know we'll be coming forward in just a moment, but I want to share with you this. I had a wonderful opportunity to participate and to observe the Democratic potential candidates in 2028 at the National Action Network Conference. And save for Governor Gavin Newsom, who did not attend, and he offered his condolences due to a conflicting schedule with the Reverend Sharpton and the organization, I thought that the party largely represented the left wing in terms of the candidates. I did not, and I got to be candid with you, I did not see 270 electoral votes on that stage for any particular candidate, which is concerning for me. I did see Governor Beshear, who represents a Southern base and the red states and the possibility of an opportunity that might be broad enough to get 270, but I don't think we're there. More on that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're in conversation with Atiba.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Bakoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Prince and the Revolution.
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the
Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. We are in conversation with Atiba, our regular contributor, and our very special guest brought to us by Atiba's Yaba Baker. Yaba produces books, half-hour cartoons, and animated movies featuring characters of color. He Just Like Me books, or his Just Like Me books, Black History Activity books, have received media attention from ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, USA Today, 5 nationally syndicated radio shows, and over 70 media publications from around the country. Yaba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 and our conversation with Atiba.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you, Atiba.
Good to see you too, Yaba. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, I have a quick question before I turn this over to Atiba. Artists are usually on the cutting edge of the culture and on the cutting edge of politics, in that while some of us verbally express ourselves through verbal communication, and others of us express ourselves in other mediums, including everything that the internet offers, sometimes the story is actually told culturally by, and more lastingly and more resiliently by artists. How do you interpret, Yaba, the times that we live in artistically?
I think it's a time to really listen to artists who are expressing what's going on right now. It's funny, not funny, but it's interesting that we found out about David Drake when we did, because I think he represents kind of where we need to be right now. And what I mean by that is he was an enslaved artist who at the time was barred from writing. It was against the law for him to write or read. But he still learned to read, and he put his writings in stone, literally, right? So he resisted unjust laws where he could. And I think he's a good example of where we are now. I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed by this time period. I think people feel frustrated and hopeless, but we all can do something in our space. We all can resist in our own way. The way I choose to resist is to teach our children our history through books and animation, and making sure that they feel, I give parents the tools to build self-worth in their children. So I think the time period for artists, has it always been for Black people, is extremely important in time periods like this.
Thank you, Yaba. Atiba?
Yeah, so Yaba, and I saw the article, the New York Times article, that starts with a phone call to your aunt.
Yes.
And I'm going to tell you, Yaba, Jesse, when I was reading this article, I just kept thinking, one, that it's a blessing that your family was able to have this connection, but it's interesting just that a genealogist who reached out to your aunt and started asking questions. And what it brought back to mind for me was reconnecting with some cousins that I knew nothing about a few years ago because of ancestry and DNA. And in you all's case, and I wanted to have you to come on to tell your story, because I think you all are doing a fabulous job in terms of learning more and telling the story, but to continue telling the story, because in the day and time that we're living in, these are the stories in this 250th anniversary of the United States that need to be told. Because I often talk about we need to redefine what it is to be an American. And so your ancestor, David Drake, is American, and we see that in his art and how this is going about, and how his and you all's family's legacy has been stolen. So could you take us back a little bit to just to give us a better understanding from your viewpoint, what happened with your aunt, that connection, and what has been happening along the way? And before the end of the show, really, hopefully you can also share what we can be doing to help you.
Fantastic. Definitely not a problem. So it really was a blessing. We're a very spiritual family. Not very religious, but I say more spiritual. And we feel like that meeting or that phone call really changed our lives in ways we did not expect. The genealogist was named April, and April had been researching the descendants of David Drake for some years. I think she said maybe 5 or 6 and maybe 10 years maybe. And she was so frustrated because we all had common names, right? Except for me, obviously. But the people she had been researching had all common names: Daisy, James, John, last names Williams, and things like that. So she really had a hard time figuring out who David Drake descendants were. In I think a death certificate or she found some names, not death certificate, but in when you go to funeral, they break down who's
obituary.
Yes. So my cousin's name was in there, and his name was Fortune Carolina. You might remember Fortune from pre-engineering, a TV. He went to Dunbar too. So she found that name and connected the dots. He referred her to my aunt. My aunt picked the phone up, and you saw in the article, my uncle in the background was telling her to hang the phone up. Because during that time, DC had a lot of scams going on for seniors. They're senior citizens, and this lady's asking for information, and so that's a red flag. But my aunt felt something that she shouldn't hang up. And thank God she didn't hang up, because we then got connected to David Drake. Now, we had no idea who he was. I didn't understand the significance of who he was as a potter, as an artist, American artist. But he's huge. He's one of the defining artists of our time. And so we went down to Dave's Day in South Carolina back in 2016. About 30 of my family members went down. They treated us like royalty. We took pictures, and they're like, you're the descendants, and we kind of were just taking it in. We even at that time did not really understand the significance of who he was until 2022. The Hear Me Now tour started, featuring potters from Edgefield, South Carolina. The main feature was David Drake. So we go to the Met. Now, everybody heard of the Met Gala, and so the Met's now featuring our descendant in a very prominent way. And I began to understand, okay, the significance. And my family did as well. So we all kind of start to meet via Zoom once or twice a month, deciding, okay, what's the next stage in this? Because me being a former financial planner, I understood these pots are assets, and assets grow over time. My thought process, and some of my family members agreed, was why should these assets continue to grow for other people who are descendants of the slave owners? This is our ancestor, and in any normal way, any artist who creates works of art of this value, they get passed on to their descendants. So the only reason why we're not getting them is because of slavery. And now the tentacles of slavery reaching into our present. So we began the whole process of thinking about who we want to get to help us do this. I was familiar of the Bruce Beach case, and I was familiar with George Fothery, and he came on board as our lawyer. You don't know about the Bruce Beach case. It's about an African-American family in Los Angeles, I believe, who had some land taken from them in the early 1900s. And George Fothery got the land back for them, and they sold it back to LA, I think, for like $20 million, something like that. So he came on board, and he began the process of picking out what museum to work with first. And Boston, the Museum of Fine Arts of Boston was the first museum to work with us. And to their credit, they stepped up. They gave us the pots back, and then they bought one back, and one is on loan with them. And that's kind of where we are today. And right now we're looking to get other museums to own up to their own bylaws about proper ownership or ethical ownership, and to begin discussions with us also about returning the pots to us, maybe in the same fashion. Maybe they return it and they buy it back from us, or maybe retain it, or however the process may go. We're open to discussions with these museums.
I'm sitting here completely struck by the idea that art that predates the Bellum, the war, is actually identified as ancestral art of descendants of someone pre-Bellum. The white family still owned it. Your fight has been for the legitimization of your interest and ownership rights as a family. And just like Holocaust victims, for example, want their art back that they collected before the Nazis began collecting their art, this is one of the few examples that I've heard that an African-American family has been successful in the endeavor of reclaiming from one of the greatest crimes, according to the Ghanaian government and the UN just 2 weeks ago, one of the greatest crimes in human history, slavery, that we've reclaimed ownership of artifacts that have significant value and that rightfully belong to the heirs. Many Jewish people today who live and fight for these assets from the Holocaust, and museums that have acquired them, once ownership is established, it changes the dynamic altogether. Yaba?
That's the exact argument I used when we would meet with the curators before we actually officially brought George on. And one of the questions, and I was really surprised that the question, well, why do you think you should get this art back? And I used that exact example. I was like, well, Jewish people are getting looted art back, and they were just the owners of the art. They weren't the creators of the art. So the idea that the owner of the art, the person who actually made it, and you're telling me simply because it hasn't been done before, or because I'm Black, we can't get that back. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Can I add something in also? But there are so many things, and I'm sure there's way more than what we see in the article. But to see that one of the pieces of art was sold in 2000, I believe, for $6,000, and then was sold again in 2021 for $400,000 plus, to kind of give us a really understanding of the value of what has been placed in this art, because it also came, and is noted that it came from someone who was enslaved.
Yes.
Who put his mark on it, who put his name on it. So they know that it was his. In terms of, I think it was a quote from you that you said, or one of your family members said, that here we're seeing this art, this legacy of our ancestor being sold and resold at these huge amounts of money, while his descendants are applying for student loans.
Wow.
That's my quote.
Yeah, and so when you think about it and look at that, in my opinion, the way that I look at it is that your story is being told, and you may be the first, but I'm sure that I'm not going to say I'm sure, but I'm thinking that there may be other stories. And so in terms of what you all are doing in terms of trying to reclaim your legacy is so important. And hopefully it's also important, it's helpful to others who hopefully can also try to reclaim theirs, or at least find out about theirs.
Yab, I have about a little under 60 seconds for you to answer that.
Sure. Really quickly, I think it's important for us to understand that we shouldn't get treated any differently, because they're trying to make us receiving our rights different. It's not different. We're humans. We're human. And Dave was a human who had children, who had descendants. And for you to not do the right thing is actually treating us different than you would treat other people. And I really want that basis to be clear. Is like, we're not asking for gifts. We're not asking for handouts. We're asking to do what's right by us.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our conversation is with our regular contributor, Atiba. Yaba Baker followed up the successful Just Like Me book series with the creation of one of the first Black princess stories in America, Princess Brianna, in 2003. His first script about Princess Brianna won second runner-up in Hollywood's Black Film Festival. In 2004, Yaba released the Princess book that inspired girls around the world with a special focus on African Americans girls to love their skin that they are in. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who was Black, and his wife are dead in what police believe was a murder-suicide.
Former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife inside of their home, and then shot and killed himself.
The Democrat served as Lieutenant Governor from 2018 to 2022. A Black man accused of planting pipe bombs outside of 2 Washington, D.C. buildings in 2021 is now facing new federal charges. Prosecutors say Brian Cole Jr. is charged with attempting to use weapons of mass destruction and terrorism-related offenses. And Charlotte Hornets guard LaMelo Ball is being fined after tripping Miami's Bam Adebayo during Tuesday night's play-in game. Ball was fined $35,000 after the foul was upgraded to a flagrant and another $25,000 for cursing after the game. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time?
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers found out Wednesday night that Steph Curry, at age 38, can still turn a game around and send teams home in frustration. A 13-point lead for the Clippers midway through the fourth quarter disappeared when Curry went to work. Curry scored 11 of his game-high 35 points in the final 9 minutes to lead Golden State to a 126-121 win at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers' season is over. They had to win last night to advance in the play-in round. Kawhi Leonard had 21 points, but he did not score in the fourth quarter until 16 seconds was left in the game. After the Clippers' painful 6-21 start, they finished the season 36-19. They had the third best record in the Western Conference after Christmas. Clippers coach Ty Lue and his staff deserve a ton of credit for keeping the team focused and avoiding what could have been a horrible season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
I need a little range, step to the range.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
58 years ago, a bullet tried to silence a dream. It couldn't. On April 4th, 1968, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was taken from us, not because he failed, but because he was winning the fight for a nation determined to live up to its promise. That fight didn't end then, and it can't end now. California is the most powerful state and the most powerful country on earth. Right now, too many people are being left behind, priced out of their homes, locked out of opportunity, told to wait for justice that's already long overdue. Dr. King didn't wait. He taught us the fierce urgency of now and acting. Now it's up to us to carry that same urgency today. We need leaders who will fight the triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism. Not someday, now. On this anniversary, let's honor Dr. King the only way that truly counts, by doing the work. Ad paid for by Steyer for Governor 2026.
Prince and the Revolution!
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580 on April 21st. I'm going to be right here on KBLA listening to the Prince interview with Tavis Smiley. I mean, this is going to be very, very insightful. And I don't know anyone that Prince trusted more than Tavis. And so to have 3 hours of an opportunity to hear Prince's thinking behind the artistry of his work, his own challenge to the industry. Prince, remember, stopped being called Prince. He wanted to be called Symbol. And he wrote, I believe, in a tattoo, slave, across his head somewhere, maybe on his cheek, on his forehead or something, like, y'all gonna pay me my money. No Merc. Anyway, looking forward to that on April 21st. Download the KBLA Talk 1580 app on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show today. This is our conversation on Thought Provoking Thursdays with Atiba. Our very special guest is Yaba Baker. Yaba, who released the Princess Brianna books that inspired girls around the world. His newest release is Super CJ, The Strongest Boy in the World. The Super CJ book was released in 2020 and now has been turned into an animated series. The Super CJ animated series is premiered on Just Like Me TV in 2023. Atiba and Yaba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Atiba?
So, Yaba, we have such a short amount of time and so many questions, right? So, one of my questions now is, and it goes to that in 2021, a 25-gallon, 4-handled stoneware poem jar done by David Drake brought in $1.56 million at auction, which was a world record for American pottery. What is it particularly that comes to mind about his art that is now bringing about so much in terms of value?
I think it's a combination of the precision and the excellence in which he created these pots, but also the time period with his intelligence. He actually wrote poems on a lot of these jars, very thought-provoking poems on these jars. And I think that combination makes it really rare, especially during a time period where it was against the law. I think that can't be overlooked enough. Can't be focused on enough, that he, knowing the consequences of defying a law in South Carolina for a slave, and to write it in a way that can't be erased. Because once you put it in that jar, you can't go back and say, you know what, I want to change that. It's going to be there forever. So I think those combinations make him a very unique figure and someone to add to the list of our Black heroes for standing up in a way that resonated almost 200 years into the future.
Yeah, but how rare are these artifacts? How rare are they, Atiba?
Yaba.
They're really rare. I think there's 40 left in the U.S. I think there's 200 total, but the others are with private collectors. And it's really hard to, people are really holding on to these pots, right? We've had, the Boston Museum was really open and forward helping us and getting those pots back. But a lot of other museums have kind of turned a cold shoulder. So we're having to go a different route here, a little bit here, and I'm going to kind of leave it at that because my lawyers doesn't want me to talk too much about what the direction he's going with it. But needless to say, we need to add some public pressure to these museums to do the right thing.
Yeah, please keep that in mind and do what their attorney is saying. In terms of he had lost a leg. I don't know if you all have learned anything more about what led to it. Of course, in my mind was, had he tried to escape and did he lose a limb? Have you all been able to unearth or uncover anything related to that?
We were able to uncover that what they said happened didn't happen. They said that he got drunk one night and laid on a train track, and the train ran over his leg. Now, mind you, there was not a train.
Not 2 legs.
Right. But mind you, the train wasn't going through that area for 20 plus years. And the closest one was 20 miles away. So it'd be almost impossible for him to get his leg. One, the story sounds incredible in the first place. But then for it not even be a train station nearby or train tracks nearby for him to get ran over. We all know during that time period that they wanted to punish slaves severely for trying to escape or trying to organize or any other reason they thought would make slaves revolt. And I think a man who's writing and reading and making these kind of stoneware, I'm sure was a threat in some form or fashion for them.
I must be candid with you, completely struck by the fact that there is a lineage tied to a rare and series of rare historical artifacts that we can document as a people. I've not heard, Atiba, of a particular instance where the genealogical tables were able to take this family back to a particular man who found himself in a form of servitude, slavery, and that his artwork is so extraordinary that the family in the modern era is in a position to challenge the ownership rights of those who maintained it. I am sitting here thinking about the difference between the Holocaust and the hell of a cost that we're paying.
Yeah, Jesse, I mean, first off, when I read the story, and Yaba, we went to high school together. You then went on to Hampton University. I think you and Gina both went to Hampton. So, the thing, though, is I'm on here every week talking to Jesse, and this is the first time that I can recall that I brought something to him that he didn't know something about. So that's a win in itself. But two, but I really want to go back to y'all. But what is it that we, the public, can do to help you all in what you're doing?
I think to continue to do stories like this and keep passing the word on. We are going to start probably a PR tour over the next couple of months. We're actually going to be hiring a PR firm actually to help us get this word out, because at the end of the day, we want to hold people accountable. And I think someone referred to us as like, well, how do you know they're descendants? And one of those things that struck me about that is we're always being challenged on our credentials. Black people are never enough. If you're a pilot, I think Charlie Kirk said, I wonder if he's qualified. And it's like, most of the time we're overqualified in almost every situation because we get challenged. So in the public, I would say continue to spread the word, continue, if you have connection to museums, write letters to the curators, write letters to the CEO, who have pots, and encourage them to negotiate with us and work with us.
Tell us about obviously your genealogical research also discovered the plantation, the area, who the masters were. Can you share with us about that angle on the story?
There were a couple of angles on that. So one owner seemed to be very friendly. He actually changed 3 owners. And one owner believes the one that helped him learn to read. The other 2 owners were not known to be as nice in that way. I guess nice is a relative term. We talk about slavery. So we know that his family was sold from him twice. And I often talk about him as a human being, because a lot of times we talk about historical figures and we don't look at them as human beings. I wouldn't know what to do if I couldn't contact my children. I see my son every day. He's 13. We have discussions almost every day now. If I couldn't get to him and talk to him about, how he's doing that day, it would crush me. And here this man is doing this and continue to make pots and live his life. So.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. An amazing story from Yaba Baker, a very special guest of mine, as well as a special guest of Atiba in our conversation. His family has identified ancient African artifacts from the slave era that are extremely valuable. And just like the Holocaust, we are trying to collect items that belong to us, that were taken from us, that have value in the present. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward right here.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Imagine every pregnant person in LA County having the support they deserve. A doula on every block. Doulas provide emotional, physical, and informational support during pregnancy, through labor, and beyond. Medi-Cal now covers doula care. That means you can get the support you need or train to support families in your community. The LA County Medi-Cal Doula Hub is here to help. Learn more and get started today at ladoulahub.com.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The BLM Center for Black Power is a hub for Black activism in the city of Los Angeles, a standalone nonprofit affiliated with Black Lives Matter LA. The venue is home to live events, meetings, and organizing drives for Black-led community-based organizations. It is also the base of operations for Black Lives Matter LA. Built on what used to be a nuisance property owned by an arms dealer, the BLM Center for Black Power is in the heart of Leimert Park and has opened its doors to everything from youth organizers to toy drives to film screenings and community town hall meetings. To make a donation or make a request, please visit blmla.org. That's blmla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Wally drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I hope you have your seatbelt on if you're on the 118, the 110, the 5, the 10, the 101, or the 405. Hey, check this out. I was just reflecting before I bring our guests back on to the program that I've only seen two Negroes in my lifetime who reached back into the past, grabbed their ancestors, brought them forward, and their ancestors changed the trajectory of the present. That'd be Alex Haley, who through his series after he wrote his book Roots, which really brought Hollywood and the entire nation together in the late 70s when I was growing up. I've never seen that happen before until Alex. I've not seen it happen since, quite frankly, until today, when Yaba Baker shared with us the story of how through a genealogical study, they reached back into the past and identified a slave who was an artist in the form of a sculptor who made pots. And these pots are selling in the millions of dollars because of the artistry of his ancestor. Yaba reached back into the past, and his ancestors reached up into the future, and they're changing the trajectory of the present. That is pretty rare. Yaba, Atiba, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thanks,
Thank
Jesse.
you.
Atiba?
Hey, Yaba, I'm going to go back to something else that you said. And that was that it's like two injustices. It's like you enslaved the man, and then you enslaved the very thing that he made for generations to come. And then you ask the question, so when does it stop? Do you feel like you're answering that question? Do you feel like you're coming to some kind of idea, epiphany in terms of how to answer that question? Or is that just part of this journey that you all are on to try to answer that question? Because I think it's very profound how you talked about the two injustices. And I'll put it this way, and this will be for another show, Jesse, is that my mom is our family historian, and I just finished reading a book about Robert P. Carter, who released more slaves at around 1800 than any other time in the history of the country before the Emancipation Proclamation. My great-great-great-grandfather and his wife and son were part of that emancipation. So they were free for 65 years on that line for my family, my paternal grandfather. But in his book, he talks about how trying to free his slaves was also, he recognized how much he was enslaved by the laws that did not allow him to do it. And so even today, where we are in our society with all these things that are going on, I don't even think that people, even those that you are challenged with confronting, understand how they're enslaved by this past, by holding on to something that truthfully should never have been theirs in the first place.
100%, Atiba. I think it's an ongoing journey. And the reason why I put it that way, 'cause I think oftentimes we put slavery like in a different section. Oftentimes we're told to forget about it. It's so long ago. The reality of it is slavery and the results of slavery are still affecting us in 2026. And to act like not talking about it is going to change something, I liken it to like if somebody has cancer, not talking about it, not going to cure it. You have to go after it and you have to attack it. And I think the more that we focus on reclaiming things that are rightfully ours without any type of, I guess, hesitation or trepidation, we just kind of go after it because it's ours. And there's nothing you can say that says anything different. And my whole thing is I'm not dealing with feelings, I'm dealing with facts. I always give them facts. The fact is he's our descendant. The fact is he made these pots. The fact is that he was emancipated through the Emancipation Act, but the whole problem was his artwork was not. So now we get to the point where let's fully emancipate everything about this man, including his artwork, and do right by the family.
I am so struck by this story. I almost can't see straight. I mean, it's a book in and of itself. I can see so many different angles, docuseries. I can see so many different angles on the truth of this story and the other artifacts that are probably legitimately chased to current and contemporary African Americans, long since freed from the Emancipation Proclamation, who find themselves on a similar journey with our artifacts, our creations, our work, our intellectual property, trapped in a system of ownership that does not include us. Atiba will share with you, Yaba, that on our show, and you will be back, we ask our guest for a final word of hope. In so many ways, what you have shared with us over the course of this hour is indeed that hope. Your perseverance, your resilience, your family's desire not to give up, to reclaim your own history, to reclaim that which belongs to you, isn't just your story. You know, it's now our story. And in a real sense, when Alex Haley wrote the book Roots, Atiba, you know, we was all part of that family, because we can only imagine the journey for the names and the faces of so many who had gone before us, but made our present possible. Let me ask, if you don't mind, Atiba, Yaba, to offer us a word of hope.
And Jesse, but just real quick, I just want to make a correction. I said paternal grandfather, but I meant my maternal grandfather. And I also wanted to say, it's really interesting too, Yaba, that Jesse just mentioned Alex Haley, because this meeting that I am at, I'm going to be with his nephew, who is a state senator in Kansas. So I just want, you know, in terms of the reach and what Jesse just said, in terms of this being our story, that lean on us as much as possible to help you in terms of what you're doing.
I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. So my words of hope would be this, and I say this a lot to my children and other people who ask me questions about the state that we're in now, right? Because they're trying to roll back a lot of things. It feels like they're trying to go back to, you know, segregation, right? So, or even slavery. Our ancestors are superheroes, point blank. And what I mean by that is to have your body enslaved, to know that you will not see freedom, but you're going to push forward for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation until the point where a Black man was elected president. There is nothing we can't do. I know they keep trying to make us feel like we're losing the battle, but in reality, we're not. We continue to win. Now, do we take some losses? Obviously, we take some losses. But at the end of the day, we cannot be stopped. So if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling like this can't happen, or these things are rolling back, think about Dave. Think about how Dave resisted in a space when he had no control over anything, but he had control enough to create these amazing pots and create this amazing story for us and create this amazing lineage for us. So that's my message of hope.
Today, we are all part of the Yaba Baker family. We learned something about who our ancestors were. And while we may not have the same last name Baker or be from the same plantation as Baker or David, we are so grateful that his story is witness, and the witness of his family is now our witness here at KBLA Talk 1580. Thank you, Atiba. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Former Virginia Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax, who was Black, and his wife are dead in what police believe was a murder-suicide.
Former Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax shot and killed his wife inside of their home and then shot and killed himself.
The Democrat served as Lieutenant Governor from 2018 to 2022. A Black man accused of planting pipe bombs outside of 2 Washington, D.C. buildings in 2021 is now facing new federal charges. Prosecutors say Brian Cole Jr. is charged with attempting to use weapons of mass destruction and terrorism-related offenses. And Charlotte Hornets guard LaMelo Ball is being fined after tripping Miami's Bam Adebayo during Tuesday night's play-in game. Ball was fined $35,000 after the foul was upgraded to a flagrant and another $25,000 for cursing after the game. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers found out Wednesday night that Steph Curry, at age 38, can still turn a game around and send teams home in frustration. A 13-point lead for the Clippers midway through the fourth quarter disappeared when Curry went to work. Curry scored 11 of his game-high 35 points in the final 9 minutes to lead Golden State to a 126-121 win at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers' season is over. They had to win last night to advance in the play-in round. Kawhi Leonard had 21 points, but he did not score in the fourth quarter until 16 seconds was left in the game. After the Clippers' painful 6-21 start, they finished the season 36-19. They had the third best record in the Western Conference after Christmas. Clippers coach Ty Lue and his staff deserve a ton of credit for keeping the team focused and avoiding what could have been a horrible season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through this city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580. Your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at KBLA1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. In that last commercial, you heard a voice that said this. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. Brothers and sisters. That'd be my daddy. In that last commercial, that was the Reverend Jesse Jackson that we heard very briefly in that commercial when he said, brothers and sisters. Missing him on this occasion and grateful for the ways in which the culture helps keep the legacy of Reverend Jesse Jackson alive. We're in the World House with Johnny Mack, who is a social entrepreneur and scholar practitioner with expertise in subject areas of peace, conflict, and social change and movements. Dr. Mack's research includes extensive study of Martin Luther King Jr.'s logic of nonviolence and the U.S. Civil Rights Movement. He explicates Dr. King's logic of nonviolence using King's call to restructure the social edifice and particularly its triple evils of poverty, racism, and militarism with a revolution of values that is effected through peaceable power. I had the great privilege of driving some 15 hours to New York City to participate in a panel sponsored by Dr. Johnny Mack, who is also the National Action Network's leader on international affairs and international issues. And we participated in an amazing panel together organized by Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. and the World House with Johnny Mack.
Great to be here, Jesse. Thanks for having me. And yes, thanks for making that panel possible. It would not have been what it was had it not been, had you not been part of it. So thank you so much.
Oh, I was a small part of it. Johnny, share with us the intention of the panel and what it was that you thought necessary that we convey to the convention and, by definition, the entire world.
Well, Jesse, your listeners probably know that this year is the 35th year of the founding of the National Action Network. And about 5 years ago, Reverend Sharpton and I had a conversation about the work of NAN and his own work and how it is growing and is recognized and followed, not only here in the United States, but around the world. And he asked that I work with him and Nan on that expansion, the reach of the National Action Network in response to the many inquiries that come from the continent, from South America, yes, even from Southeast Asia and Europe. And so this specific event, this panel, was organized with representatives from around the globe to address one of the most challenging issues that confronts us that most people don't realize is taking place, and that is a new world order. This new world order is shuffling the deck, if you will, on power around the globe, and who wields that power, who benefits from that power, and who is burdened by the power. Particularly in this case, the African continent is in the center of this new world order, as there is a new shuffle and a new form of colonization of the African continent. And so the panel was a discussion of what is actually happening and how the African diaspora can work in concert with continental Africans in participating in what this new world order will look like, how it will be organized, and yes, who will benefit from it and who will be burdened by it.
Johnny, the late Reverend Willie Taplin Barrow was a very close and dear friend of mine, and a Reverend Al Sharpton's, and also Tavis Smiley. She once said that we are not so much divided as we are disconnected, and that we need to be connected. And I certainly got the impression with Lord Woolsey, who moderated our panel and the pre-panel discussion, that this connection was critical to your thinking. We have about 2 minutes before we come forward. Can you share with our listeners who the panel participants were?
Well, absolutely. You mentioned the moderator of the panel, who is Lord Simon Woolley, who is, among many things, the principal, we call that president, of Homerton College, Cambridge University, the first African-American male to lead one of the colleges of that famous university, Cambridge University. Simon Woolley is also a member of Parliament, and he is a lifelong activist, co-founder of Operation Black Vote, which in the UK is the equivalent organization of the National Action Network here in the United States, of course. There were several others. We may hit the break before I finish them all and talk about them all. But of course, you were one of the panelists, along with a couple of persons who are financial experts in investment banking, managing large funds. We'll talk about them a bit more if we can on the other side of the break, Jesse, as well as Dr. Edmund Folifik of the Ohio State University. You'll forgive me. I'll have these names better on the other side of the break if we can.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest, we're in the World House with Dr. Johnny Mack. More when we come forward in just a moment.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, host of The Voice of Reason, weeknights at 7 p.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580, with a personal invitation for you to join me and Insight.me as we present The Healing Box, live at Inglewood's world-famous Miracle Theater, Saturday evening, May 23rd at 7 p.m. Look, I understand your attachment style has been running your life like a rogue algorithm, and nobody has had the courage to press pause. Until now, Dr. Pacoya McCall and yours truly are curating a night where clinicians, spiritualists, and an all-star panel of Black woman healers like Dr. Shalonda Sunshine Crawford, Dr. Jashana Johnson, and spiritualist Precious McGill will join some amazing spoken word artists and the legendary comedian Louis Dix to diagnose, disrupt, and heal your relational wreckage in real time. Listen, bring your trauma. As a matter of fact, bring your baby mama. No, bring your testimony. And if you're still texting your ex at 2 a.m., baby, you're not just invited, you're the target demo. Tickets are moving fast, so grab yours at themiracleinglewood.com before your dating history gets flagged as a pre-existing condition. That's themiracleinglewood.com. We'll see you there Saturday, May 23rd at 7 p.m.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
Prince and the Revolution.
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Folly drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is none other than Thought Provoking Thursdays with Dr. Johnny Mack. Johnny, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Great to be here, Jesse. Thank you.
Johnny, just before the break, we were discussing the panel that hosted at the National Action Network, and Lord Woolley said that from his perspective, the panel was one of the most important panels of the entire conference. Why would Lord Woolley take that position, Johnny?
Well, as we were saying just before the break, this new world order is a real phenomenon taking place, having a profound impact on the entire globe, and particularly on the African continent. How that new world order finally is structured will determine the life chances of 1.5 billion people of either continental Africa or of African descent. And so Lord Woolley's comment was certainly on point. What will be the future of Africa, and who will determine what that future will be? That is a question that is being answered as we speak, Jesse.
Yes,
there are deals taking place as we speak in ways that are profoundly impacting so many of us here in the U.S. as part of the diaspora and on the African continent.
One of the points that I recall making in response to Lord Woolley's point was this: when African Americans go to Africa, that's a vacation. We go to Goree Island and think about the transatlantic voyage. We go to other ports of call or to some of the trading posts where our ancestors were traded, which are now abandoned ports. We reflect upon our history and we reflect upon our past. But when African Americans go to Africa to do business, they're seeking opportunity. When Africans come to the United States to do business, they are seeking opportunity. And one of the problems that I've, over the course of my 61 years, been able to detect is while we go to chase our roots, Elon Musk goes to Africa to dig a hole, extract something. He needs lithium for batteries to make his Tesla car works, largely produced in sub-Saharan African countries or excavated. He needs bauxite. He needs copper to make many of the microchips in this country and in this world work for the technology that he seeks to advance. But the same guy ran through the federal government at the beginning of this administration and participated in the dismissal of 300,000 Black women from the government and from the workforce. He did that. And the problem is that African leadership doesn't check off with Black leadership in the United States to say, listen, brother, what is the lay of the land? You come here, you speak to the United Nations, you give a speech, you go back home, you feel good about the great speech that you gave. No one in Chicago heard your speech. No one in LA heard your speech. Nobody in New York, other than at the UN, heard your speech. You came here with all the pomp and circumstances of a world leader. You didn't even make the local Negro paper. You didn't check off with Reverend Sharpton when he was alive. You didn't check off with Reverend Jackson or the head of the NAACP or the Urban League. You just came, gave your speech, got back on a plane, and flew back to Africa, and standing at the tarmac was Elon Musk, who's disrespecting us here in the United States and taking advantage of you in Africa. If I recall, Johnny, that's the only point I made on the panel. But I think it was profound enough to resonate with the audience and with the people who heard it to understand that we have to respect each other on both sides of this ocean. Because if the Africans tell Elon Musk, you cannot dig a hole in my country for the mineral that you need until you touch base with Black leadership in America and find a way to answer their concerns about your dismissing 300,000 black women from the federal workforce. You find a way to get those 300,000 women their jobs back, and then we can discuss the operational power for the batteries in your cars. Johnny, am I making sense to you, or am I preaching to myself?
Well, I think you're doing both, Jesse. Shucks. So keep on preaching. Don't stop. You're making sense, of course, not only to me, but to your listeners. And, yes, it's not just Elon Musk, though, Jesse, as I know you know. There's a whole cadre, if I can use that word, a very small group of very wealthy people who are taking advantage of the access that this current administration gives to the continent. But there's also, Jesse, a cooperation among some of the leadership on the African continent with these efforts to take control of the rare earth elements that the continent holds. Africa has manganese and copper and cobalt and natural graphite. You mentioned lithium, bauxite. We can go on and on. And these rare earth minerals, these rare earth elements are in abundance. 50% of cobalt, of the world's cobalt reserves are on the African continent. 50% to 60% of the manganese, Jesse, is on the continent. 90% of platinum on the African continent. We can go on and on. And so you mentioned that African Americans go to Africa for vacation. Africans come to the US and other places around the globe to do business. We have to find a way to bridge that divide. The divide is not so much a divide in the water that separates the continent. It's a divide in vision. It's a divide in building a solidarity. It's a divide in building a polity among we people of the darker hue, as Curtis Mayfield put it, I think. We have to become participants, Jesse, in this reshaping and reframing of the world order.
It's interesting. I began the program by sharing, Johnny, what the late Reverend Willie T. Barrows said about us not being divided. I think we are united. I think we're disconnected. I think we, like Reverend Barrows said, we don't respect each other enough to ask your opinion or my opinion before you come to the United States. You know what? Let me get my guys on the phone and find out what I'm walking into. I mean, I was on the stage with Cyril Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa, the present president of South Africa, when Mandela was freed in South Africa. And only Cyril Ramaphosa and I were essentially on the stage with Nelson Mandela. Others who were present, I did not know who they were. Oh, no, of course I do. Mbeki was there, and I believe Walter Sisulu was also on stage with us. But Cyril Ramaphosa was a young man holding the mic while Mandela was speaking, and I was off to the stage left on that occasion, the only American on the stage with Cyril, and I reminded him of that on my father's obsequies. And he and I laughed together because he said he has that picture in his office, but now he's going to go back and look for me in it. And I'm sitting right there, standing right there. He just probably didn't recognize it was me. We're not disconnected or divided. We are disconnected. And when we connect, we close the gaps. We could have told the president of South Africa before he came to the United States that we saw Donald Trump disrespect the president of Ukraine and send him back home because he didn't have on a suit. And I'd have said to Cyril Ramaphosa, had he called me, man, listen, do not go into the Oval Office with that guy without talking with us first, man, because if he disrespected that little white man, he's got something for the Africans that's going to be equally as awful. And so we need to have a strategy on how to talk to Donald Trump. And he went right there. He went right there. And they started asking him about his treatment of white folks in Africa. And he had to try and prove that he hasn't been disrespecting white South Africans. And he used the occasion to welcome some 70,000 South Africans to the United States. We need to respect each other, Johnny.
We do, and just we need a consciousness that we don't have, where we identify with each other, not only historically, but in the present and in the future. We are interconnected. Martin Luther King reminded us that all of us, all humanity is interconnected, and but what we Africans, we who come from the African continent have been so disconnected, to use your term. And we're so focused on connecting with the Western way of doing things that we miss the rich talents and possibilities that come from our ancestry and from the history of our people. That's not by accident. Not by accident. It is part of the legacy of slavery and all that came with it. Question is, how do we turn it around?
How do we do that, Johnny?
Well, Jesse, I believe we do it in part by building social structures in institutions. It's more than talking about the problem. It is building the social infrastructures that bring us together. The current social infrastructure, remember we talked about a new world order, and King talked about, you may recall, Jesse, restructuring the social edifice. What King had in mind is that the edifice is not designed for us. It is designed for somebody else. We are simply elements of, tools of, objects of that social order to be used and abused, if I can be so blunt about it, by those who benefit by that social order. It is a blunt and awful reality to describe it that way, Jesse. But the social order wasn't designed for all of the world, but only for a particular segment of the world. And so King calls for a new world order where all of humanity can share in its riches, in its benefits, and equally in its burdens. But that requires developing a social structure that fosters that cooperation, that collaboration, and that connectivity that we don't have.
I think that's absolutely right. It also calls for end product development on the continent of Africa, and not just the extraction of minerals exported to the developed world that then returns finished products to African nations that Africans who provided the raw materials can't afford because the basic standards of the quality of their lives and the standard of living have never reached the stage of those in the developed world. Now, I'm not speaking for, the class-based system in many African nations where there is an economic elite. I'm talking about those, the masses, that continue to be left behind. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. We're in the World House with Johnny Mack. More on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump says Iran wants to make a deal and that an agreement could happen quickly.
We're dealing very nicely with them.
Speaking outside of the White House, he said Iran is now willing to do things it was not willing to do 2 months ago. Trump also pointed to a possible peace deal between Israel and Lebanon after announcing a 10-day ceasefire. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. clashed with Black Congresswoman Terry Sewell at a House hearing Thursday over past remarks about Black children. Sewell pressed Kennedy on comments about Black kids being over-medicated and needing to be, quote, reparented, end quote, but Kennedy denied it and accused her of lying. And Baltimore's Black Mayor Brandon Scott is celebrating legislative wins for the city after the 2026 General Assembly session. He says the measures will help reduce vacancies, boost downtown investment, strengthen public safety, and target traffic violations involving out-of-state tags. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers found out Wednesday night that Steph Curry, at age 38, can still turn the game around and send teams home in frustration. A 13-point lead for the Clippers midway through the fourth quarter disappeared when Curry went to work. Curry scored 11 of his game-high 35 points in the final 9 minutes to lead Golden State to a 126-121 win at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers season is over. They had to win last night to advance in the play-in round. Kawhi Leonard had 21 points, but he did not score in the fourth quarter until 16 seconds was left in the game. After the Clippers' painful 6-21 start, they finished the season 36-19. They had the third best record in the Western Conference after Christmas. Clippers coach Ty Lue and his staff deserve a ton of credit for keeping the team focused and avoiding what could have been a horrible season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I need a little ranch, step to the ranch.
There's a new flavor in town, the Jalapeno Ranch Club at Chick-fil-A. With that juicy Chick-fil-A original spicy or grilled chicken, a buttermilk ranch bun, candied bacon, pepper jack cheese, and jalapeno ranch sauce. It's got big ranch vibes with a little heat. Chick-fil-A's new Jalapeno Ranch Club, available for a limited time only. Order ahead on the Chick-fil-A app.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there. In a world full of noise, one station keeps it real. KBLA Talk 1580, where the conversation goes deeper, the voices sound like yours, and the issues that matter most to our community take center stage. Progressive, powerful, unapologetically us. Whether you're driving through the city or tuning in from your home or office, join the public square. KBLA Talk 1580, your home for talk that enlightens, encourages, and empowers. Listen live on our free KBLA 1580 app, on our website at kbla1580.com, or on your radio dial at 1580 AM.
Unapologetically progressive.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was the house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of the utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. We have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foster, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad. LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Prince and the Revolution.
10 years ago, the world lost a genius.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing called life.
Prince trusted few people. Tavis Smiley was one of them.
Good evening from Los Angeles. I'm Tavis Smiley. Tonight, a rare conversation with one of music's biggest superstars, Prince.
Prince opened up to Tavis in ways he rarely did with anyone else. Honest, unfiltered, and unforgettable. On Tuesday, April 21st, as we mark the 10th anniversary of his transition, experience 3 uninterrupted hours of Prince in his own words.
When people criticize my work and attack my personality, it doesn't help me. I can't do anything with it.
Don't just remember Prince, hear him.
We live in a place now that feels just about like a plantation. We're all indentured servants.
Tavis Smiley, Tuesday, April 21st, only on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Farley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
Jesse, when you was in office, you were around those big power tables, speaking about Africa and how Africa could be enhanced, supported. What did you learn in that time that you could impart to our audience about those powerful tables that you frequented?
Lord Woolley, first of all, thank you very much, and thank Reverend Sharpton for the opportunity to participate in this panel. Some of it is a function of definitions. Connecting African Americans to Africa is called a vacation. Connecting African Americans to opportunities in Africa and connecting Africans to opportunity in America, that's called business. We need a framework that includes human rights, our respect for theirs and their respect for ours, opportunity, those that they can create for us and those that we can create for them, partnership. It means that Elon Musk ought not be digging lithium in African countries and bauxite, and while at the same time overseeing an agency that fired 300,000 black women in our federal government. That requires partnership and empowerment. There are 5 black-owned radio stations, for example, that allow talk radio. Very seldom do you hear African countries advertising on those black radio stations about come to Africa, come visit our country, come vacation, come take a safari, come enjoy yourself, come partner with us, come do business. But the medium by which we communicate with them is through to help shape the framework. African leaders, and this ought to be the last time that they come to the United Nations and speak and don't stop by the National Action Network and spend some time with Reverend Sharpton. Now, we don't trust Elon Musk, but we do trust Reverend Sharpton. And I don't have a problem trusting Reverend Sharpton to meet with Elon Musk to tell him there will be no more digging of lithium in Africa until you see black lawyers and black accountants and black teachers and black colleges and black people and make a commitment to us here at home. That's the leverage that we need so he can dig in Africa. And last but not least, the next time an African leader comes to the United States, they ought call and ask for the lay of the land before they meet with the President of the United States and get insulted by Donald Trump. We saw what he did to the President of Ukraine, made him go home and put on a suit and come back. If they would have called us from South Africa and said, what would it be like if I accept an invitation from Donald Trump, we would tell him he's going to insult the hell out of you when you come there. So ignore the insult. Make sure the African president comes where he or she is respected first. Meet with our leadership and let's create opportunities amongst ourselves.
So I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the vision. I'm guessing right now this is the time to think bigger and bolder than we have perhaps for some time. I'm reminded when I look at the 1920s that a black brother started the biggest movement of the African diaspora ever seen in Marcus Garvey. 6 million followers, raising millions of pounds, which would have been tens of millions of pounds. And you did all of that without mobile phones, without social media. Brothers and sisters, what's our excuse? We've seen what nations can do when they have a wealth fund. For example, Norway, when they had the oil, they spent half and saved half. And now they have a wealth fund worth $2 trillion. I'm asked the panel, we need a Marcus Garvey moment here. Where does it start? Where does it start, brother? Where does it start?
As far as I'm concerned, it started with him just a few moments ago. I don't know about you, but Jesse Jackson Jr. I was looking for my wallet. So let's start there with Nan.
How do we get a wealth fund? How do we start our own wealth fund? Talk to
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Just a moment in time on the panel with Dr. Johnny Mack. Dr. Johnny Mack, you had some amazing contributors on that panel, and some of them are responsible for funding projects all over the world. I don't know an organization that can bring, or a leadership, quite frankly, that can bring a panel like that together, quite like the National Action Network, and quite like you did on that very auspicious occasion.
Well, Jesse, there are so many talented, capable African Americans like yourself and the others on that panel. We just need, as you say, to come together under the auspices of efforts like NAN, which is why the NAN conference and convention each year is so very important. By the way, there were 10,000 registrants to that convention, 10,000 registrants to that convention. But Jesse, also, if I can quickly say, in the last segment, we talked about the infrastructure that's needed. We were talking about how to connect the dots, how to make the connection between the American diaspora or the U.S. diaspora and continental Africans. Part of that infrastructure is a wealth fund. There are 50 million African Americans. What percentage of African Americans would it take to really build an effective fund that invests on the continent, in the plethora of projects that the continent needs? That's where the abstract rubber, Jesse, meets the concrete road of building a connection between the diaspora and African peoples. We can do that. If each and every one of us just set aside 2 or 3 of the Starbucks coffees that we might buy, or the pairs of shoes that we might buy. I can go on and on with the examples of how we spend our money. We've bought into the acquisitive ideals of the Western system, rather than the investment ideals of the American system.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on the World House with Johnny Mack when we come forward.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You better work. She's rooted in culture and rising in power. Los Angeles City Council member Karen D. Price Jr. invites you to the District 9 Women's Leadership Summit, a powerful gathering celebrating the women who shape our communities. Join us Sunday, May 3rd from 1 to 6 p.m. Registration is open now, but space is limited. District 9 residents receive special priority. This event is free. Call 323-846-2651 to reserve your spot. That's 323-846-2651. Be rooted, be powerful, be there.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The midterm elections are upon us. It is voting season once again. Common Cause's motto is fighting for the democracy we deserve. In service of that goal, Common Cause puts its state and national policy expertise, massive network of grassroots supporters, and nonpartisan approach into action to strengthen our democracy against the challenges we face today. They work at every level of government on priorities that impact each of our lives, like defending the right to vote, limiting big money's influence on our elections, holding public officials accountable, and more. Common Cause is a nonpartisan grassroots organization dedicated to upholding the core values of American democracy. They seek to empower all people to make their voices heard in the political process. This election may be the most important one ever. If you'd like to make a donation or volunteer in service to the Constitution, please visit commoncause.org. That's commoncause.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
From station to stage, LA Metro connects you to the artistic heart of Los Angeles. Celebrate this National Arts Month with Metro, exploring galleries, theaters, and cultural spaces across the city. Art isn't just where you end up, it's how you get there.
What is it, boy? Someone need help? Someone in trouble?
Oh, okay. So you just want me to get Progressive Auto Insurance because their collision coverage covers up to $1,000 in vet bills if you're injured in an accident? That's it? Okay, calm down. Let's not resort to name calling.
Progressive's collision coverage helps pay for care for your pet when they're in the car during an accident.
No, you're right. Sorry, I shouldn't have said calm down.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Coverage included with purchase of collision coverage and subject to policy terms.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance. and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. I mean, mop drop.
Sweet for power mop. Sweet for power mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our very special guest in this hour is none other than Dr. Johnny Mack. Dr. Mack, welcome forward to the World House on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show, your show. Johnny?
Jesse, it's always good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Johnny, how can we support your work?
You can go to theworldhouseproject.org. That's our website, theworldhouseproject.org. And there you'll find out about our work, and you'll also see how you can make a contribution, a tax-deductible contribution to our work around the globe. Thank you for asking, Jesse.
Johnny, I'm always honored to support your work. And I also want to make it clear that while at the National Action Network on this panel that Johnny invited me to participate in, with more than 10,000 registrants, the opportunity to pitch the African diaspora, Lord Woolley from the UK, who flew in overnight to be the moderator of the panel and return to the world, leaders of the International Monetary Fund and other major funds that are responsible for creating literally hundreds of millionaires. And even one of our guests is responsible for the creation of 20 billionaires on the continent of Africa. The opportunity to pitch the need to leverage African leaders to support African American owned radio in the United States. The 5 stations, including KBLA Talk 1580 and the other 4, is going to be a function of the leverage that we are able to bring about on the continent. As long as we are leveraging Elon Musk, I don't care if Tesla advertises on Black radio. As long as Black people and Black lawyers and Black business people and Black radio stations are getting commercials and are benefiting from that opportunity, and we're able to expand our ability to reach our voters and inspire people to participate in this process, you better believe that as the war rages in the Middle East, that Iran has its own lobbyists and representatives in Washington, D.C., and you better believe Israel has its own lobbyists in every single bill in Washington, D.C. You better believe that. You better believe none of them look like us either. Now, if there are no Black lobbyists lobbying for African countries in Washington, D.C., relating to presidents in Africa, we can get our fair share, our sponsorships, our commercials, advertising for Kenya Airways and Nigerian Airways. These airliners fly into LAX. They fly into our airports in Chicago at O'Hare. We deserve our fair share of those commercial dollars. And I'm very serious about that. That's who my dad was, getting us to participate. Johnny, thank you for that exposure and thank you for that opportunity. Share with how we can make that connectedness a reality for all of us. And I want to thank Tavis Smiley for allowing me the privilege last week of being able to not miss that opportunity to share with those world leaders on the significance and the importance and what our expectations are when it comes to us fighting for them. We need them to fight for us. Johnny?
Yeah, Jesse, this shouldn't be the last time we have this conversation. This conversation should be a regular part of our discussion. It is so relevant. Remember that the title of our panel really spoke to and speaks to now what's so necessary for us as Black people in terms of connecting with the continent, this global challenge of race and inequality in the New World Order. We've got to invest in it. We've got to be a part of it. We have to be actively engaged in it. And, that's something that we can foster right here on this show. And I think you're going to find that there's a great deal of activity that we can report on and invite our listeners to participate in. That's part of building that infrastructure that you and I talked about earlier. If we're not talking about it, we can't envision it. We can't envision it. We can't do it. So I would challenge us to stay focused on this, to keep it in front of our agenda and to act upon it. I hope we can do that, Jesse.
Johnny, you can count on that. We eat Big Macs, hot fries. We eat Whoppers. We eat chicken and waffles.
Yes.
I mean, we buy Cadillacs. We buy General Motors products. We buy Ford products. We eat at crustaceans in Los Angeles, California. We use our consumer dollars locally in the state of California and in the city of Los Angeles. We take advantage of hotels. It's okay for you all to advertise on our station. I'm okay with that. It's okay we fight in the power plant for what they did in Altadena, but you can come on and buy some ads over here too and talk with our people directly. That we're not afraid of that. We open to participation in the marketplace. How else you gonna get the word out but through us? I'm not backing off that Jesse Jackson point right there because we've earned it. And we have to be respected for that. And we have to be respected domestically, but we also have to be respected internationally. We've earned that too. Mm-hmm. Fighting for Africa all day long, fighting because of the transatlantic voyage and all that we've been through as a people. This is the 21st century. We earned some respect from our African leaders and brothers and sisters to take our business people serious and to allow us to be the negotiators and the brokers between their countries and Elon Musk and Apple and Google and everybody else who wants to build a data center here and build data centers, taking advantage of Africans there and build solar farms there. We've earned that right to participate. Now, right. We can't say we want a fair relationship and then say that we're not prepared to call out what it is when it's not what it is. What it ain't what it is. It ought to be is what it is. Now, that's where I am. I eat cereal with no milk. Got the canned milk. Got waffles with no syrup. I know where I've been. I've been to the situation where ain't no milk. Powder milk. Anyway, Johnny, thank you for being on the program today, and I can't wait to see you next week, my brother.
Jesse, thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well.
I love you so much, Johnny, and there's nothing you can do about it.
All right, brother. Mutual.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward right here at KBLA. Stay here with us and support this station and support the work that we do. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Until tomorrow.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.